I'm Erica Carlson with Bricks Real Estate. I am bringing you the local market update for our area. It is January 17th. We will look at how it's been changing over the last couple of weeks. You will find this interesting if you are looking to buy a house in the near future. Maybe you're thinking about selling, or maybe you're a homeowner that just wants to keep an eye on what is going on in the real estate market. Just always important to keep some sense of what is happening. Please come and tune in with me next week, whether you're finding me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I will be having Molly Zimmerman from Bell Bank back with us to talk about credit repair and things you can do to improve that. So I hope you will also join me next week. So without further ado, if you've been paying attention to my videos for a while, I am trying something new here today with Zoom. We'll see if it works. So the data I have for you is a little overall, it's old because it's from December. However, it's going to give us some generalities. And this is like, if there's nothing else you're going to take from my video, I think that this would be the most helpful information to just get it at a glance and let me interpret it for you, sort of in a very obvious way. And then we'll dig into Wright County, and if there's anything I can do at the end, or if you click the link, you can get a hold of me if you have any particular questions. So on the screen, I just got this graphic yesterday from the Minnesota Realtors Board. And so I'll be honest, I don't know if this data is all of Minnesota, if it's the Twin Cities Metro. We do need to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt because we don't exactly know how they're defining the area. It's Minnesota, so let's just assume it's Minnesota. So what we can derive from this quickly is home sales, the amount is up almost 2% over last year. The median sales price is up over 3% over, again, last year. Days on market is higher and closed sales is lower. And so that dynamic, right? How do we understand this? Okay, well, I guess I can't fully explain why more people are putting their house on the market. If we had a crystal ball, it does seem like house prices just continue to go up over time. We haven't had a reprieve in that. Doesn't really seem to be mattering too much what part of the Twin Cities you're in. Certain areas, of course, are a little bit hotter than others. And so you need to be mindful of that when you're house shopping. There's just kind of a little bird walk here. There's people that kind of want to do things that aren't possible. And so some of these areas, and I do have a list of them somewhere. You're kind of contradicting it. I want a low price, but I want to buy in this super hot area. I don't want to say it's common sense, but if that's what's happening, you need to read between the lines. It just might not be the right fit for you. Going back to the data on the screen, the 47 days on market, it's up. So that just tells us there's not as many people home shopping. I think interest rates in particular with the news has really scared people away. But they're coming out. We're going to see that in just a moment. And then again, with the closed sales being down, again, that's indicative of like what's happening with the overall economy, how people are feeling about things, inflation, yada, yada. I'm not an economist, but we're just taking this all in, that it continues to be a good time to sell a property because inventory, the competition just isn't there. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Sometimes showing is better than telling. So now we're digging into Wright County. Of course, this is just a sample, right? It's just one county out of many in our state. We're looking at the January 17th column. We've had a very tiny little uptick in inventory, like 10 more houses. So when we compare it to last week, it's just not significant at all. If you're out there home shopping, you're not going to feel that. If you're thinking about listing your house, nothing to be concerned about. Your competition is still very, very minimal. There's just not a lot of inventory for home buyers to pick from. So only 407 of these properties have no contingencies. Now, this is all price points, anything residential. I don't look at commercial properties. Green dots on the screen represents kind of like the areas where the majority of those homes are going to be. Pending sales haven't really changed. Closings have gone down. Now, do you think to yourself, oh, that's worrisome? No, not at all. Because remember, these people went under contract right before the Christmas holiday. Not as many people were out there home shopping. We talked about that. We looked at the data. Shopping pool was going down, down, down. However, mortgage applications did go up around that time. So that brings us to our next screen, which I see my head is covering, so I apologize. And that's bad for me too. So I'm gonna have to change that in the future. But I will be able to do it from memory, I think. So let's first look at my favorite data. Again, I realize that's uber super geeky of me to say favorite data, but here we are. So we're looking at the 250 to 500K range only. And so these parameters change outside up or down of that number. So we're just using average numbers. If you were in Wright County, you'd be looking at about 2, maybe 3 showings a week. This is great news. I know that doesn't sound like a lot of showings per week. However, last week was a little slower. They were closer to 2. The week before was 2. And again, there's no such thing as a 2.4 showing. There's not 2.4 of a human being. We're averaging things together. But it's a really nice thing to see that number sliding up on the screen, because that means people are getting off the sidelines. That's what we predicted. We're in the quote unquote spring real estate market. We all know it's super cold out. You would think the cold would scare people away. It just doesn't. Historically, people come out in January. It is not our instinct to think that this is a great time to sell a house, but there are definitely people out there house shopping. I can tell you that anecdotally. I can tell you that from the data. Comparing that to Hennepin County, they are doing always, like it always seems like they do a little bit better. They're getting more like 4 showings a week. So we're at more like 3, they're at 4. Absolutely no surprise in that data pool. Now let's look at last week. They were at 5.5. So it looks like they're slipping. But then the week before was 3.4. So what that tells me is January 10th was truly a strange anomaly of a week for the county as a large, as just kind of at large. Um, so what do I take from that? I guess I still am going to say the same thing I told you last week. I knew something unique happened last week for Hennepin County. I don't know what it was because it's a very large county, loads and loads of properties. I wouldn't possibly know that necessarily. Nothing sticks out in my mind as memorable, but it could have been a very underpriced property like on a lake, or maybe something with like a lot of acreage that was really underpriced. So a lot of times, like if a house is profoundly underpriced and people know that, it's going to drive up showing activity and it's going to skew our numbers. So I think we need to kind of like throw last week out for Hennepin County. They are getting about 3 to 4 showings a week on average, and whatever happened last week is just, it was an anomaly. I am going to do something goofy now and move my head this way. Okay, so average 53, 37 was median. Okay, so the change here is median. That was super strange to me, but that was the only way I could get to those numbers with you. What that's telling us is it's speeding up. It's more evidence that houses are selling faster, because I don't look at last month's data when I share this with you guys. I look at the last 7 days in Wright County, and those houses that have gone into pending, they are selling faster. So about a month. Before I let you go today, remember, if you click my link, you will be able to figure out how to get a hold of me, whatever your preference is. If you want that market report, remember that is your neighborhood. Like, we are zeroing in on what you own, whether it's an investment property, a personal property. If you aren't interested in giving me an address for whatever your personal reason is, you can go to Rockford, Buffalo, St. Michael, Delano has market reports set up kind of in a generic way for the whole city. I can't do a county. I guess I'm doing the county right now, is for the lack of better terms. This is fantastic information, especially for home sellers, homeowners. Even if you're not thinking about selling, you're just going to find this data very, very useful. It keeps you from going off onto the internet and trying to search for, the one down the street that sold last month. What did they make? It's telling you what they made, how long it took to sell. You can even be a voyeur and check out the pictures of your old neighbor's house and put all that together. So I love that. I love that feature. It's free to you. It's absolutely no big deal for me to set up for you. Can't get rid of that little video thing on the screen. So without further ado, thank you for joining me this week. I'll be back next week with Molly to talk about credit repair. If you want to start your home search, I'd love for you to join me on iHeartMPLSHomes.com. Okay, again, I have to move out of the way. If you're thinking about selling, you want to know how to get top dollar, sell quickly, I'd absolutely love to talk to you about your selling and buying needs, and investments, of course. And I hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.